My name is Emily Ware. I'm 30 years old. By 7 o'clock on December 31st, my backyard looked like the kind of picture you see on Pinterest and whisper, maybe next year. Heat lamps lined the fence like quiet guards. Bistro lights looped between the oak branches, glowing soft and gold. I'd printed real invitations with foil lettering, spelled everyone's names correctly, even Derek's. I booked a magician because my sister Amanda said her 3-year-old was obsessed with card tricks. I believed her. I believed in all their stories. Jake, my boyfriend, kissed the top of my head as I stood on a step stool fixing a light that didn't need fixing. "You've done enough," he said gently. That should have sounded comforting. It felt like a dare. I'd made playlists, cleaned the baseboards with a toothbrush, bought a black velvet jumpsuit with a gold zipper that made me feel like I belonged to a life that noticed me. At 7:30, nothing. At 8 o'clock, still nothing. I texted Mom, "You on the way?" No reply. The family group chat was silent. No jokes, no excuses, just a gray wall of unread messages. At 8:45, Jake went out to get ice, thinking people might still show up late. I took a photo of the setup and sent it to the group. No one opened it. By 10:12, the kind of dread that starts in your ribs had already turned cold. I stopped pacing and just stared at the food I'd made. Midnight came. Fireworks painted color over the cul-de-sac. I sat by the fire pit with a drink I never touched. I didn't cry. Not then. I just refreshed my messages like maybe the signal was broken, not my family. January 1st passed, then the 2nd. Mom's phone went to voicemail. Dad didn't open my text. Amanda, the sister I'd bailed out more times than I could count, disappeared completely. It felt too coordinated to be coincidence. Then came January 5th. Dad's text read, "Send $10,000 for your sister's baby shower venue. Went with the Wilshire Club." No apology, no mention of New Year's, just a demand, like I was the family's ATM with a pretty signature. I stared at it for 2 minutes, then sent him $3 with the note. Confetti. "If pettiness is a sin, I'll see you in church." Then I did something no one in my family saw coming. I stopped paying. Amanda's nursing school tuition, the one she bragged about finishing debt-free, was mine. Every single monthly payment for 2.5 years had my name on it. She begged me to keep it secret so Mom wouldn't freak out. I'd kept it quiet because that's what peacekeeping looks like in families like ours. But that night I logged into the portal and reversed every payment, every late fee, every balance, gone. Back to me. I expected silence. What I got was a knock on my door 3 days later. Mom stood there, makeup smudged, face pale. Behind her, Amanda looked thinner, fragile, her coat still on. Mom clutched a manila folder like it was proof she still existed. "We need to talk," she said, the kind of tone that comes right before an earthquake. I didn't invite them in. I just stepped aside. They entered my house like they were trespassing on something sacred, which was funny, because it was my couch Mom had cried on when Dad threatened to leave, my guest room Amanda had stayed in when she was pregnant and fighting with Derek, my kitchen where I made breakfast for them both. Amanda wouldn't look at me. She said they hadn't come to the New Year's party because Dad told them not to. He said it was a trap, that I'd invited everyone just to humiliate them. Then she showed me a screenshot he'd sent to the family, a photo of a $2,000 check I wrote to my friend Julia. The memo line read, "Hang in there." Underneath, Dad had added the caption, "Emily's bailing out strangers now. We're just ATM receipts to her." And they believed him, every one of them. Amanda said it wasn't just that check. Dad had been planting seeds for months, whispering that I flaunted money, that I gave only to make them feel small. He'd been collecting proof, screenshots, transfers, every nice thing I ever did, twisted into ammunition. She said she didn't realize how deep it went until she called her school and learned her tuition had been paid by me, every semester, every late fee, and that the refund I'd filed didn't go to her, but back to me. That's when she started pulling on the thread. Her car's down payment, mine. The hospital bill after she fell down the stairs, mine. Derek's DUI lawyer, mine. Covered, quiet, forgotten. Mom laid the folder on the coffee table. Inside were copies of checks, notes, bank slips, all with my handwriting. On top was a line in Dad's scrawl dated December 30th. "She'll pay if it gets serious. She always does." That was when the air left the room. Mom confessed Dad had been dipping into her account too. The bank had called about suspicious wire transfers, over $30,000 gone. His phone disconnected, his car missing. She didn't even know if he was still in the state. Then Amanda dropped the final bomb. The baby shower wasn't real. There was no Wilshire Club. The $10,000 wasn't for a venue. It was for a payment. Someone she owed money to. Not a credit card company, not a hospital. Someone who doesn't send reminders. A name came out like poison, Malik. Amanda said she'd met him through Derek when they were broke. He sold pills, she handled the cash, signed things she shouldn't have. When Derek ran off to Arizona with a new girlfriend, Malik came after her. First, he was polite. Then the text came. Photos of her apartment door, then her daughter's daycare entrance. Terrified, she told Dad. He told her to stop being the family disappointment. He said he'd protect her. That's what fathers are supposed to do. So when he asked her how much she owed, she said around $60,000. He promised to handle it. Asked me for 10. I looked at the folder again. That note, she'll pay if it gets serious, replayed in my head until it scraped. He hadn't planned to help Amanda. He'd planned to use me. If I refused, he'd call me heartless. If I paid, he'd fund his escape. Either way, I'd lose. I'll think about it, I said. Mom looked relieved, like I'd just offered CPR to a corpse. They left. No hugs, no apologies, just silence. Jake stood in the doorway after they were gone. Say it, I told him. I think he turned your kindness into a weapon, he said. He wasn't wrong. At 2 a.m, I opened an old email account I hadn't touched in years. There was only one contact left. Julia. The same woman Dad used to mock me for helping. But Julia wasn't just some friend. She'd once worked for Malik. I wrote everything. Amanda's debt, Dad's theft, the folder, the 10,000, the threats. I didn't hide the ugliness. Julia replied almost instantly. Does Malik sound like the guy who ran fake invoice scams out of a vape shop in Madison Heights? I hesitated. Amanda had mentioned vape shops. Maybe, I typed. Then it's him, Julia replied. He leveled up. No more thugs, just power. Runs everything through legit fronts now. Crypto, fake consulting, shell companies. Keeps a local laptop, offline. Above a dead martial arts studio. Keypad lock, security system's been down since 2019. I have the code. Is it safe? I asked. You wanted help, she said. This is it. The next morning, Amanda sat at my kitchen table with a coffee she didn't drink. This is insane, she said. It's illegal. I reminded her she was already in illegal. We weren't stealing money. We were taking back proof. If we do this, Amanda whispered, Mom can't know. Agreed, I said, because Mom only knew how to hold fire by throwing it. The next day, I looked out my kitchen window. The heat lamps still stood in the empty yard. Quiet, flickering reminders of who hadn't shown up. I didn't take them down. They weren't for them anymore, they were for me. I texted Julia. We're in, she replied. Tuesday, 9 p.m., don't be late. Across the street, a car idled for a few seconds too long before pulling away. For the first time in weeks, I didn't feel humiliated. I felt ready. It was Tuesday night when the air started to hum. Detroit was wrapped in that kind of winter cold that burns your skin before it numbs it. Amanda sat beside me in the passenger seat, silent except for the nervous tapping of her nails against her thermos. We parked 2 blocks away from the address Julia sent, an old commercial strip where the neon signs had given up years ago. A martial arts studio with a for lease sign sagged over a cracked window. Above it, a single light, faint and yellow. This is it, I said. Amanda's breath clouded against the glass. You sure we're not going to get shot? Not if we're fast, I said, tucking my scarf tighter. And careful. Julia had promised the keypad code still worked. The building's security cameras had been dead since 2019. Still, every footstep echoed like an accusation. We climbed the narrow stairwell. The keypad glowed weakly. I punched in the numbers, 1897, and the door clicked open. Inside was nothing like I expected. No drug paraphernalia, no chaos, just sterile gray walls, an empty desk, and one laptop sitting perfectly centered. 4 folders on the desktop. One was labeled Clients, the second Finance, the third Surveillance, and the fourth, hidden behind the others, named Burn Box. Amanda exhaled sharply. God, it's real. Copy everything, I said, handing her the USB drive Julia gave us. We plugged it in, and the screen came alive. Lists, names, photos, people with money, people with families, judges, politicians, lawyers. Then, our names. Amanda Ware, Derek Lang, Emily Ware. Amanda froze. What the hell is this? She whispered. I clicked. Inside were text threads, bank statements, surveillance stills, one of me in a parking lot outside my house, carrying groceries. Leverage, I murmured. He keeps dirt on everyone. The copy bar filled agonizingly slow, 60%, then 72%, then footsteps. Someone with keys at the back door. Amanda's face drained of color. Emily! Unplug it, I hissed. We snatched the drive, shoved the laptop lid down, and bolted for the side exit. The sound of the door unlocking came seconds later, a metallic click that chased us down the stairs. We burst into the cold, sprinted for the car, and didn't stop until the city lights blurred behind us. When we finally reached my driveway, Amanda's hands shook so hard she could barely unbuckle her seatbelt. "I can't believe we just did that," she whispered. "You didn't do it," I said. "We did." Inside the house, I plugged in the drive to my laptop. The folders were all there, every one. And hidden inside the burn box, a note file titled Insurance TX'd. In case of death or arrest, send contents to media. Keep the balance. Fear is currency. My stomach turned. I ejected the drive, made a copy onto a second one, then sealed it in a padded envelope. Jake came downstairs in his robe, eyes half awake. "What happened?" "Insurance," I said softly. "Ours now." We didn't sleep. By morning, Amanda's phone buzzed. A new text. "Debt cleared. You disappear. We disappear." That was it. No threats, no demands, just that. Amanda read it twice, her lips trembling. "He knows," she said. "He knows we took it." "Maybe," I said. "Or maybe he just wants us to think that." She wanted to believe it was over. I didn't. Malik wasn't the type to wave white flags. Men like him only smile when they've moved the chessboard. For 3 days, nothing happened. Then on Friday morning, Mom called. Her voice shook so badly I barely recognized it. "Emily," she said, "Amanda's not answering. Her door's open. Her car's still there. Her purse, too." I felt the air leave my lungs. "She's gone," Mom whispered. But nothing's missing." I drove there myself. The apartment looked ransacked, but selective. Drawers dumped, couch slashed, but valuables untouched. The baby's toys were scattered across the floor like someone had stepped on purpose just to make noise. Then I saw it. The front door splintered near the lock. Whoever came in didn't bother hiding it. A detective I'd met at church stood outside with a clipboard. "Your family?" he asked. "Sister," I said, my throat dry. "Was there blood?" He shook his head. "No, just signs of a struggle. And something weird. A laptop was turned in anonymously at the downtown cybercrimes unit this morning, labeled insurance. Your sister's name was in one of the files." My chest tightened. That was our copy. Someone had dropped off Malik's laptop to the police. By noon, the news exploded. A massive data leak. Politicians, CEOs, lawyers, exposed through digital blackmail files. Malik's empire was cracking, fast. Jake found me pacing by the kitchen window. "They're going to come here, aren't they?" he said. "Maybe," I whispered. "But not tonight." Then the doorbell rang. A plain cardboard package sat on the porch. No address, no note, just my name, Emily Ware, in block letters. Inside, Amanda's baby monitor. The light was on. The speaker hissed softly, then a whisper. "One more move and you're next." Jake froze. "Call the police." I didn't move, because I knew. This wasn't a threat to report. It was a warning to understand. That night, I sat in front of my laptop. I took the remaining drive, the one I hadn't used, and encrypted its contents. Then I scheduled a timed upload to every major news outlet in the country, set to trigger in 72 hours unless I stopped it. I made 2 more backups and hid them in different places. Jake stood in the doorway. "You're going to start a war." I looked up at him. "No, I'm just ending one." At 2 a.m., my inbox blinked, a new message from Julia. "Meet me tomorrow, East Side. Don't bring anyone. I'll explain everything." She ended it with something that felt like a confession more than advice. "And Emily, whatever happens, don't trust the story you think you know." I met Julia the next morning in a diner on the East Side, the kind of place where the coffee's burned, but the waitress remembers your name. She was sitting in the corner booth, hair tied back, sunglasses still on despite the cloudy sky. She looked older, not in years, but in miles. "You look like you haven't slept," I said. "I haven't," she replied. "Neither should you." She slid a small envelope across the table. Inside was a slip of paper, an address. "Where's Amanda?" I asked. Julia hesitated, fingers drumming on her cup. Safe, for now. That's not an answer. It's the only one you get until you hear me out. She leaned in closer, voice low. Malik's gone. Or at least, he's gone from the part you can touch. Someone new's running his network now. A man named Vin. He's smarter, colder, and much less predictable. Malik used fear. Vin uses loyalty. He's rebuilding everything, and Amanda's part of it. My stomach twisted. You're lying. Julia shook her head. I wish I was. Amanda wasn't taken. She was recruited. The words hit like static. Wrong. Impossible. She'd never... She would, Julia cut in. Because Vin gave her what she thought she needed. Protection. From Malik, from debt, from everything. I stared at her, my pulse pounding. What kind of protection involves breaking into her own apartment and leaving a baby monitor on my porch? The kind that sends a message, Julia said softly. She's under his control now, and that means so are you. I didn't touch my food. The smell of eggs and burnt toast made me nauseous. Julia reached into her jacket and slid a small burner phone across the table. He'll contact you soon. When he does, you don't answer. Not until we have leverage left. Leverage? I asked. Julia looked up, her eyes tired but sharp. That second drive you made, it's not just your safety net, it's currency. Vin knows it exists, and he knows you're the only one stubborn enough not to sell it or hide it. That makes you dangerous. I leaned back in the booth, heart racing. He wants me scared. No, she said. He wants you predictable. Outside, snow started to fall, thick, quiet flakes that made the street look peaceful. It was a lie of a picture. By the time I got home, Jake was pacing near the window. There's a car outside, he said. Same one from last week. Black sedan. No plates. I walked over, peeked through the blinds. The car sat still, engine running, headlights off. Pack a bag, I said. We're leaving tonight. Jake turned to me, frustrated. Emily, this isn't a movie. You can't just run from people like this. Watch me. We didn't argue further. By midnight, we were on the highway, the drive humming quietly in the glove box. But halfway across the bridge, my phone buzzed. A new message. No number. You don't have to run, Emily. We just want to talk. V. I nearly dropped the phone. Jake glanced at me. Who is it? I locked the screen. No one. We checked into a motel 2 hours out of town. I left the car parked out back, curtains drawn. Sleep didn't come. At 3:17 a.m., the baby monitor, the one I'd buried under a blanket in the closet, crackled to life again. A man's voice, calm, deliberate. Running makes you predictable, Emily. Come home. We can fix this. I yanked the plug from the wall, but the sound didn't stop. Jake grabbed it and slammed it into the sink. Static fizzled, then silence. The next morning, I found an envelope under the motel door. Inside, a photograph of me sitting in that very diner with Julia, time-stamped from yesterday. My hands trembled. They're watching us. Jake pressed his hand to my shoulder. Then what now? I looked at the drive. We use what we have. I opened my laptop and scanned the folders again, digging deeper into the burn box. Hidden in one subfolder was something different. Audio files. Dozens of them. Conversations, meetings. One stood out. December 30th, V and G Ware. I clicked play. Dad's voice came through first, unsteady. You said you'd fix it, Vin. You said she'd pay. Vin's reply was calm, detached. She always does, doesn't she? Tell me, Gregory, why does she still think you love her? Dad's silence was long and hollow. Then, because she wants to. It's easier than hating me. I stopped the playback. The room spun. Jake whispered, Emily, what does this mean? It means Dad's alive, I said, and he's working with Vin. For a long moment, the only sound was the hum of the motel heater. Dad hadn't vanished. He'd joined them. I stared out the window at the falling snow, feeling something inside me shift from fear to clarity. If protection looked like a cage, then maybe the only way out was to set it on fire. I closed the laptop, took a long breath, and said quietly, Tomorrow I'm going to meet him. Jake froze. Emily, that's insane. No, I said, my voice steady. It's necessary. I picked up Julia's burner phone and typed a single line to the number she'd given me earlier. Tell Vin I'm ready to talk. The reply came before sunrise. 12 p.m. tomorrow, warehouse on East Chandler. Come alone. No signature, but it didn't need one. Jake tried to talk me out of it. Emily, this is exactly what they want. They'll corner you. I zipped up my jacket, meeting his eyes. They already have. I left my phone behind, but took the burner Julia gave me, tucked in my coat pocket next to the backup drive. Every instinct screamed trap, but the voice in my head, the one that had spent years paying, fixing, cleaning up, whispered, "You deserve answers." The warehouse stood by the river, its windows bricked and half broken. Inside, the air smelled like oil and dust. Two men flanked the entrance. Neither said a word. They led me up a metal staircase to a wide office that overlooked the floor below. Amanda was there, alive, smiling. She looked rested in a way that scared me more than if she'd been crying. "Hey, Em," she said, casual, like we were meeting for coffee. "What are you doing here?" I asked. Before she could answer, another man stepped out from the shadows. Tall, dark suit, eyes calm and unreadable. "I'm Vin," he said. "You've caused quite the mess." I didn't move. "Where's my father?" Vin smiled slightly. "You'll see him soon enough." Amanda placed a hand on his arm. "Emily, it's not what you think. Vin's helping me. Helping us." "Helping you?" I almost laughed. "By breaking into your apartment? By threatening me?" Vin tilted his head. "That was Malik's way. I prefer order. Your father understands that now." Then the door behind him opened, and Dad walked in. He looked thinner, but not broken. His jacket was new, his hair trimmed, his eyes, that same sharp mix of arrogance and fear, met mine. "Emily," he said, like he had any right to say my name. "Dad," I answered, "or should I call you Employee of the Month?" He sighed, almost theatrically. "You don't understand what's happening here." "Oh, I do," I said. "You stole $30,000 from Mom. You lied about a baby shower to fund your new boss, and now you're standing next to the man who threatened your daughter's child." Vin watched me with quiet interest. "Gregory told me you were emotional. He didn't mention you were smart." I met his gaze. "He didn't mention you were a coward who hides behind women's debts." Vin smirked. "You think this is about money? I deal in leverage, not dollars." He gestured toward Amanda, who looked at me with something close to pity. "Your sister's debt is clear. She works for me now. She's protected." "Protected," I repeated, the words sour in my mouth. "That what you call it?" Vin shrugged. "Better than the alternative." He turned to a table behind him and picked up a slim folder. Inside were printouts, screenshots of bank transfers, tuition payments, checks. "All those years you paid for them," he said. "All those secrets. You made yourself indispensable, Emily. But indispensability is just another form of control. Your father learned that. I'm giving you a choice to do the same." He slid a burner phone across the table, identical to the one Julia had given me. "One button, one decision," he said. "Press it and everything ends. The police never see the rest of the files. Amanda's record disappears. You and your boyfriend walk away. And if I don't," he smiled, calm as winter, "then I'll have to assume you prefer chaos, and I'm very good at chaos." Amanda's eyes pleaded. "Emily, please, just do it. I'm safe here. Vin's not like Malik. He gives people second chances." I laughed, sharp and hollow. "Second chances? He burned your apartment to erase evidence. That's not mercy, that's branding." Her expression faltered just for a second. I picked up the burner phone. "Fine," I said. "You'll get your answer soon." Vin leaned back, satisfied. Wise choice. I turned toward Dad. "Did you really think I wouldn't find out you were working with him?" He opened his mouth, but Vin answered first. "He didn't have to tell you. He knew you'd come. That's what you do, isn't it? You always come back." I didn't argue. I just nodded once and walked out, clutching the phone. Outside, the river wind cut through me, clean and cold. Jake was waiting in the car a block away, engine running. "Well?" he asked. "They offered a deal," I said. "And?" "I took it." He blinked, confused. "You did?" I nodded. "And then I rewrote the rules." That night, I made 3 new copies of the Burnbox Drive, each encrypted differently. One went to a journalist I knew from a construction fraud case. One went to a lawyer Mom once trusted. And one, the most dangerous one, went to the widow of a man who disappeared after crossing Malik years ago. Each envelope had the same note inside. "If I vanish, release everything." Then I packed a duffel bag and handed Jake his passport. "Where are we going?" he asked. "Where they can't find patterns," I said, "where predictability dies." Before dawn, I stood at the edge of my porch, staring at the empty street. For the first time, it didn't feel like running. It felt like burning the map. By the next morning, the air felt wrong. Heavy, static, like the city was holding its breath. Jake and I were driving west. No real plan, just distance. But every gas station felt like a checkpoint. Every reflection in the glass like a warning. Then my phone, the burner Vin gave me, buzzed. You didn't press the button. No greeting, no threat, just a reminder. Jake glanced over. Don't answer. I didn't. But I could feel it. That old trained reflex to respond, to explain, to fix. The reflex they had built in me since I was old enough to be useful. 2 hours later, the world caught fire. News broke that morning. A massive criminal leak involving public officials, real estate fraud, and hidden offshore accounts. The files matched exactly what I'd copied from the burn box. It wasn't me who leaked it. It was one of the backup recipients. The chain had already snapped loose. Vin's network collapsed within hours. Warrants, seizures, names, faces. The empire Dad had helped fund burned overnight. Jake looked at me pale. Emily, I didn't have to, I said. I just lit the fuse. Someone else finished it. By afternoon, my phone buzzed again. This time, a video file. It opened to show Dad, disheveled, sweating, speaking to someone off camera. Vin's gone, he said. The whole thing's gone. They're coming for me. Tell her I'm sorry. Then the feed cut. It ended with static and one final text. Your father made his choice, now make yours. That night, Julia called from a number I didn't recognize. You did it, she said quietly. Did what? You burned the system from both ends. Vin's people are scattering. Amanda's still alive, but she's not the same. You should stay gone. Where is she? She's safe, Julia said. Or at least safer than she's ever been. Don't go looking. She hung up before I could respond. For a long time, I just sat there in the motel parking lot, headlights cutting through the fog. Jake reached over and took my hand. It's over, right? I watched the highway stretching ahead of us, dark, endless, open. Not over, I said, just quieter. When we finally got home 2 weeks later, Mom was waiting on the porch. Her eyes looked older, but softer. She didn't say, I told you so. She didn't say, he's gone. She just said, I read the news. I'm proud of you, Emily. I didn't know if she meant it or if she was just trying to fill the silence, but I took it anyway. Inside, everything looked the same. The heat lamp still leaned against the fence, collecting dust. The velvet jumpsuit still hung in the closet, tags attached. For a moment, I stood there, breathing it all in. The quiet, the space, the proof that I'd finally stopped being someone's safety net. I opened my laptop and checked the encrypted leak timer. It had already expired. The files were gone, scattered across too many hands to ever recall. For the first time, I didn't feel panic. I felt peace. Jake came up behind me, arms around my shoulders. You still thinking about him? He asked. Dad? I said. Not really. More like the version of me he trained. The one who always paid, always forgave. What happened to her? I smiled faintly. She finally charged interest. Outside, the street was empty, calm. No cars idling, no whispers on baby monitors. Just quiet. I walked out to the yard and turned on one of the old heat lamps. The bulb flickered, then glowed steady, warm. For a second, I remembered New Year's Eve. All the lights, the silence, the disappointment. Now, it didn't hurt. It felt earned. Mom texted later that night. Amanda's staying with a friend up north. She says she's sorry. She knows you won't reply, but she wanted to try. I didn't respond. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Some wounds don't need closure, just distance. As the house settled and the city lights dimmed, I whispered the truth I'd waited too long to say. I wouldn't change a single thing. Not because I'd won, but because I'd finally stopped losing myself to their chaos.